1.
Chocolate ends up being another guiltless food as addictive as medications. This is on the grounds that it contains sugar, fats, theobromine, and enkephalin, the caffeine of the cacao world. Theobromine and enkephalin are energizers. Theobromine is known to trigger the development of our veins and a drop in our pulse and circulatory strain to make a loosening up inclination, much the same as drugs. The impacts of enkephalin need more examination on the grounds that a large portion of the important exploration was done on rodents. Notwithstanding, in contrast to rodents, people are not effortlessly affected by enkephalin. Scientists found that rodents took care of M&Ms confections encountered a spike in enkephalin emission, which energized the narcotic receptors of the mind much the same as heroin and morphine. Simultaneously, this caused the rodents to need more chocolate to make all the difference for the emission.
2.
Have you ever asked why it is so difficult to stop eating those sacks of potato chips? As per an investigation, this is on the grounds that they are just about as addictive as hard medications. So once you pop the substance of a sack of chips, you may not stop. Like cheddar, potato chips trigger the arrival of dopamine that meddles with our bodies and gives us similar impact as medications accomplish for clients. Exploration by Dr. Tony Goldstone of Imperial College London uncovered that photos of potato chips and lousy nourishments all in all energized similar piece of the mind as pictures of liquor accomplish for lushes and pictures of medications invigorate for drug clients.
3.
A few soft drinks like Pepsi and Coca-Cola are overpowering in light of the fact that they contain caffeine, which is very addictive. So regardless of whether you don't drink espresso, you can in any case get caffeine in cola. Examination shows that 80% of Americans devour caffeine somehow every day. Caffeine in cola enters the circulatory system and the cerebrum where it upsets the adenosine receptors liable for hindering the nerve cells in the mind. At the point when this occurs, our body goes into a condition of sharpness and delivers adrenaline, which is generally delivered normally when we are in danger. The body before long understands that there is no peril and makes more adenosine receptors to impede the impacts of the cola. The consumer, who is as of now dependent is then compelled to burn through more soft drink to arrive at a similar degree of fulfillment as in the past. Other than caffeine, soft drink has been reprimanded for containing caramel shading, phosphoric corrosive, and a lot of sugar or high fructose corn syrup. A container of Coca-Cola has 10 teaspoons of sugar or high fructose corn syrup, which causes diabetes over the long haul. Caramel shading has been connected to disease, and phosphoric corrosive is simply excessively acidic at a pH of 2.5. For examination, vehicle batteries have a more acidic pH of 1 and water has an unbiased pH of 7. Phosphoric corrosive in soft drink doesn't harm our stomachs on the grounds that the stomach processes this corrosive with the guide of calcium phosphate from our bones. This could mess bone up like crack and osteoporosis over the long haul.
4.
The United States best every other country in caffeine utilization. The normal American beverages 3 cups of espresso daily, and that is without tallying their admission from different items like caffeinated beverages and pop. For what reason do Americans drink such a lot of espresso, you may inquire. It very well may be the after effect of an addiction. This drink contains caffeine, which has been delegated the world's generally addictive and broadly utilized medication. It triggers the arrival of dopamine, causing us to feel great similarly that medications cause clients to feel better. Caffeine likewise causes a genuine dependence that must be relieved by drinking more espresso.
5.
Like all other foods, sugar can be sound or unfortunate relying upon how it is utilized. In contrast to each other food, it can likewise get addictive. An investigation by analysts at Queensland University of Technology found that sugar has a similar impact on the body as cocaine. Both make the body discharge dopamine over the long haul. The measure of dopamine delivered decreases contrasted with the measure of cocaine or sugar burned through. driving addicts to need more. At the point when a sugar fanatic doesn't get sufficient sugar to trigger the arrival of dopamine, he could fall into sorrow similarly that cocaine clients feel when they can't get the medication. At the point when sugar addicts quit eating sugar, they may display withdrawal side effects much the same as cocaine users. Another concentrate by Dr. James D. Icolato found that sugar is considerably more addictive than cocaine. In the investigation, rodents dependent on cocaine changed to sugar subsequent to tasting it unexpectedly. The connection among sugar and medications turns out to be a lot nearer when we understand that the Food and Drug Administration has endorsed Variclai, a similar medication used to treat nicotine withdrawal. To treat sugar withdrawal, however, a prior investigation by analysts from Edinburgh University reasoned that sugar dependence is really a social issue and not an enslavement. Fundamentally, individuals burn through sugar since they love it and not on the grounds that they are dependent on it. Truth be told, their examination guarantees that it is difficult to get dependent on sugar.
6.
Wheat is an addictive food that nobody appears to take note. One of its properties is high gluten content, making gluten-free the expression for apparently sound wheat food sources. In any case, burning through huge amounts of wheat is undesirable, regardless of whether it contains gluten or not. Today's item isn't equivalent to the wheat of the past. All things being equal, present-day wheat is the after effect of hereditary designing that has been continuing for around 50 years. It is designated Frake wheat hence. It contains loads of starch, gluten, and addictive proteins that keep you returning for more when devoured. These addictive proteins are separated into polypeptids, which append to cerebrum receptors to make purchasers high and dependent. Polypeptids likewise get into the circulatory system. Now, they are called gluteomorphies, which is only a name gotten from gluten and morphine. Wheat addicts will consistently ache for all the more sweet wheat items like treats and cakes. Strangely, wheat enslavement can be treated with drugs like naloxone, which specialists use to fix heroin or morphine glut. Other than the habit, wheat has been connected to malignancy, heftiness, coronary illness, and a few other clinical issues.
7.
Wheat is an addictive food that nobody appears to take note. One of its properties is high gluten content, making gluten-free the expression for probably solid wheat food sources. Be that as it may, devouring enormous amounts of wheat is undesirable, regardless of whether it contains gluten or not. Today's item isn't equivalent to the wheat of the past. All things considered, current wheat is the after effect of hereditary designing that has been continuing for around 50 years. It is designated Frankenwheat thus. It contains heaps of starch, gluten, and addictive proteins that keep you returning for more. When devoured, these addictive proteins are separated into polypeptides, which append to mind receptors to make purchasers high and dependent. Polypeptides likewise get into the circulation system. Now, they are called gluteomorphins, which is only a name gotten from gluten and morphine. Wheat addicts will consistently hunger for all the more sweet wheat items like treats and cakes. Strangely, wheat dependence can be treated with drugs like naloxone, which specialists use to fix heroin or morphine glut. Other than the habit, wheat has been connected to malignancy, corpulence, coronary illness, and a few other clinical problems.
8.
Meat is a characteristic and great wellspring of creature protein. Thus, it is difficult to recognize an individual dependent on meat and somebody who simply needs its protein content. Meat contains hypoxanthine, a caffeine-like energizer that causes us to feel fulfilled. Hypoxanthine even has similar properties as caffeine. More seasoned meat contains more hypoxanthine, which is the reason a few people show withdrawal manifestations and a genuine needing for this kind of food on the off chance that they don't eat it for a while. Meat contains other addictive substances like guanylate and inosinic acids, which have a similar impact as hypoxanthine. More terrible yet, whenever you are dependent on hypoxanthine, you should burn through more meat to arrive at a similar degree of fulfillment.
9.
Wheat is an addictive food that nobody appears to take note. One of its properties is high gluten content, making gluten-free the expression for as far as anyone knows sound wheat nourishments. Notwithstanding, devouring enormous amounts of wheat is undesirable, regardless of whether it contains gluten or not. Today's item isn't equivalent to the wheat of the past. All things considered, present-day wheat is the consequence of hereditary designing that has been continuing for around 50 years. It is designated Frankenwheat hence. It contains heaps of starch, gluten, and addictive proteins that keep you returning for more. When burned through, these addictive proteins are separated into polypeptides, which append to mind receptors to make shoppers high and dependent. Polypeptides likewise get into the circulatory system. Now, they are called gluteomorphins, which is only a name gotten from gluten and morphine. To wheat. Addicts will consistently ache for all the more sweet wheat items like treats and cakes. Strangely, wheat fixation can be treated with drugs like naloxone, which specialists use to fix heroin or morphine glut. Other than the habit, wheat has been connected to malignancy, weight, coronary illness, and a few other clinical issues.
10.
Burning through countless treats may appear to be a propensity. However, as we are going to discover, it very well may be the after effect of a habit. In one examination, Jamie Honahan of Connecticut College infused rodents with either a saline arrangement or one of cocaine or morphine. From there on, he put the creatures in a labyrinth containing rice cakes and Oreos, leaving the rodents to move around freely. He understood that the creatures moved to the territory containing the Oreos, which they obviously liked, to the rice cakes. They got energized subsequent to eating the cream filling of the Oreos, similarly as they stayed energized when infused with the drugs. Honahan later tried proteins from the rodents and found that their accumbens, which is known as the joy focus of the mind, was more energized when they ate Oreos than when they were infused with cocaine.